When I was a kid, I didn't feel like I fit in when I was at school. I tried to fit in. I tried to play all the sports. I was always the last one picked in the football team, and I was definitely not the worst. When I discovered go-karting and racing, I found this love. When I put that helmet on, I could be whoever I wanted to be. I felt like it's my cape. I felt like I could be Superman. And when I was in that kart, I was able to do things that the others around me weren't able to do. That created a shield around me, and whatever I was feeling outside, I could take into that bubble and I could execute on track. My parents were divorced when I was 2. I spent my weekends with my dad. And during those weekends, my dad was either in the garage working on his car, so he was a mechanic. I remember sitting in the back seat watching my dad drive, and I was like, I can't wait till I can do that. Naturally, I loved cars, and my dad would watch the Grand Prix on the weekend. And two of the things that I remember seeing when I was 4 or 5 years old was Superman and Formula One. My dad would be up at 5:30 every morning to go to work, come back, he'll be in the garage fixing the go-kart. His work ethic was insane and it was inspiring. I was like, I want to be like my dad. He was really, apart from Superman, he was the real Superman that I got to see every day. He would never let me sleep past 7:30. I would have to be out training. He didn't want me to waste any time. He was always encouraging me to read books, study, understand my equipment, understand the car, the technical sides, go to school and learn about engineering so that you can have more knowledge in order to be the best driver you can be. When I was younger and I arrived at the go-kart track, I was definitely very much aware we were the only black family there. We were just a scruffy family, right, that were there for fun, had no clue what we were doing. At the beginning, it's just all fun and it's a hobby, which everyone's doing. But I do remember the looks that we got, particularly from kids, the negative kind of comments again, but I experienced that through school. I never fully understood it, and I never really asked my parents about it. What does that mean? But when we were at these kart races, my dad just said, do your talking on the track. So we'd stay quiet, we would take the insults, we would take that negative energy and we'd turn it into positivity and we would win those races. And when we would leave after winning these races, it was the greatest feeling. So I think the important part of that message, no matter what you're going through, there is a way of turning it into a positive, channeling that negativity or that aggression, whatever it may be, and focusing on what you love. I think that's why I'm able to drive the way I drive today, because I have that at the core of me. And it's crazy because I've been racing for 28 years and it's still at the core of who I am today. And I'm grateful because it enables me to still shine when I'm on track. I'm a fighter. I've always been a fighter. Because I was bullied as a kid and I always wanted to fight back, but I wasn't strong enough. I was taking a lot of punches and it was really getting me down. So I remember asking my dad if I could go to karate. So I went to karate. The second one was we started boxing. And at the boxing training gym, I was, I think, 8 years old. And my dad thought it would be good to put me in the ring with this other kid of a similar size, but he was maybe a year or two older than me. This kid beat the crap out of me in the first round. And I was terrified. I remember coming out crying, my nose was bleeding. And I remember my dad's, and I remember exactly where it was, and he's on his knees in front of me, and he says, get back in there, do not give up. You can do this. And the whole point of it was facing your fears. Facing your fears can be the scariest thing, but when you overcome those fears, it unlocks so much potential. And so I went back into this ring and I didn't let this kid get a punch in. I threw my arms and I gave it everything. I'm happy to say that I won that round. And that for me was a very, very impactful moment. Continuously challenging yourself, not shying away from those challenges is key to progressing and moving forwards. And there's literally nothing you cannot do if you really, really put your mind to it. When I was younger, I hated losing. I think probably as a kid, I would get stroppy and and I didn't know how to deal with it, the anger, the frustration. There was this experience that I had, and I'll never forget it. It was a weekend I got to spend with my dad, so my dad picked me up and we went to the video store. And I must have been 4 or 5 years old, and we came out the door and he says, "I race you to the car." And the car was probably 100 meters away or something like that. And I'm so competitive, so I'm running as fast as I could. And I thought I was winning, and then he beat me right at the end. And I was so frustrated and I was like, when I get older, I'm never gonna let my dad win. And today, the one thing my dad loves doing is playing tennis. And so that's something I've been able to do with him. He's done all these lessons, he's been practicing, he's stretching, he's having these lessons, and I turn up and I've not had any time to have lessons in tennis, but I have this slice and I hit it just beyond the net and he can never get it. And I never let him win. And it's actually to the point that I'm starting to feel bad. Sometimes I'm like, should I just let him win? No, can't do it. So it always goes back to that beginning from when I was really young. I definitely have a never give up mentality, and I definitely feel through my life, my dad was always kind of on my shoulder whispering in my ear, don't give up. I think that mentality that I learned in the younger days was what got me through those races, when I was behind and I was just trying to fight through. Don't give up, keep pushing. Every time you're coming from the back of the grid, because my go-kart wasn't very good, I would make up a couple places, then you touch with someone, you fall back 3 places, and get back on it, keep pushing, don't give up. And so even when I'm last in a race, I feel that I can still win the race. And even if I don't win the race, it's the journey. It doesn't matter really where you come. Sometimes I've come maybe 3rd or 5th, but as long as I've been moving forwards, that never give up mentality has propelled me through so many races and has always somehow managed to, not always, but most of the time, got me back to the front. It's those steps forward. You can only do it 1 step at a time. And it's like building a wall, 1 brick at a time. My wall gets knocked over many a time when I do fail. That's all part of the process. My message to you, if you are out there and you feel that you are the only one or you feel like you don't fit in, that's not a weakness, that's an asset, that's a strength. And it took me a long time to realize as a youngster, when I was young coming through school and coming to those kart races, that being different was not a bad thing at all. The fact is we are all unique and different in our own ways. And I like to think that we're all shooting stars. And we all have an unimaginable amount of ability and talent. We get in the way of ourselves sometimes. But challenging yourself, continuously challenging yourself, never giving up, is at the core of how I do what I do. And I really just want to encourage people to do the same.